histogram is a graph that represents the brightness of a range of tones in the image. This range of tones is broken down into the big five, which are laid out across the horizontal axis of the graph, starting from the left, which is the blacks, moving across to the shadows and midtones in the middle, then the highlights and whites on the very right hand side. Histograms all work pretty much the same. You'll find histograms everywhere, from the back of your camera, in Lightroom, Photoshop, and DaVinci Resolve. The point being, if you know what does and doesn't look right in your histograms, you can make your exposure adjustments on the go. That can be done through your ND filter if you have one on, your ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. This works very much the same for all Canon cameras.
On the red tab with the camera icon, go across to page 7, down to shooting info display.
Down below the grid display is histogram display. Click that. Then you've got a section for your brightness versus RGB. For this tutorial, I'm just doing brightness. Select that and pick a large or small histogram size, hit OK. Then go back to your main menu screen, and if your screen is still blank like this, what you can do is just hit the info button, and that will cycle through different display info until you see the histogram at the upper third of the screen. You can toggle that on and off simply by pressing the info button. So there is not a screen or monitor in the world that is going to give you a perfect representation of the data captured by the camera, whilst a histogram is bridging that gap. How to read a histogram. Firstly, I like to ask myself, what type of scene am I shooting in right now? Is this a particularly dark scene? Is it quite a neutral scene, or a light and bright landscape, for example? This is important because it sets the expectations as to what I'm looking for on the histogram. If it is a dark scene, well, having a lot of information to the middle and left of the histogram is probably what I'm expecting to see. Yes, the data in this histogram is matching my expectations of what I'm looking for. Same for your whites. If you're expecting pure white anywhere in the image, then make sure you've got that reflected in your histogram as well. So just with clipping, you're not going to recover any information in the blacks and whites if it is clipping. But again, if that's what you're wanting in your image, lots of areas with pure blacks and pure whites, then expect to see that in the histogram, or adjust your exposure accordingly. The point for me is knowledge and absolute certainty of what your camera is capturing in any situation. It's 100% a skill worth learning, and if you put the time into it, you're going to be on the path to mastering your camera in no time.